Welcome back, everyone. I'm Setharoth, and today we are still experimenting with the Lost Legacy mod list extracted from Wabbajack. This is 1,600 mods that took quite a few hours to download, but relatively just a few clicks to get it up and running. It's about 90% what I would like in my own massive mod list, which has really kind of opened my eyes to what is possible in modding Skyrim. But today we're going to be diving into a fun little mod called Classic Classes and Birthsigns. This is our alternate start, and at the moment all I've done is create a new character, and then we're going to open the Select Class book, and that's going to kick us off. Alrighty, welcome to Classic Classes and Birthsigns. What I really like about this mod is it kind of reminds me of the setup more towards what you had with Oblivion and a little bit with Morrowind. This will allow us a couple different options. We can either select a pre-made class, design our own custom class, or just go in with no class and be vanilla. We're going to start with the classic classes to give you guys an idea of what that's going to look like. First, you pick a specialization. The main point of picking a specialization is you're going to get a 20-point boost in whichever attribute that favors. So combat will give you 20 points of extra health, stealth will give you 20 points of extra stamina, magic will give you 20 points of extra magicka. We're going to go ahead and go through these each individually. For your combat classes, we have a variety here. If you pick the archer, for example, obviously you're going to be focusing on a more ranged and melee and stealth build. So the archer is basically a stealth sniper. I have heard some people do it's more of a personal challenge, but they will try to do a archer playthrough with no stealth, and then you have to be very good with your bow and very quick on your dodges. I haven't gone that far yet in my own playthroughs, but there are a couple different mods that would really lend to that kind of a playthrough, and this is one of them. We also have the option of barbarian, which is, okay, that's interesting. Light armor, that makes sense. Block, one-handed, smithing, two-handed. This is one other thing that's important to note. When you pick one of these pre-made classes, they actually come with their own special passive ability, kind of like an extra perk that you get. So your archer, for example, gets the marksman ability, where he deals 10% more damage with bows. Each of these abilities, they function as a passive, so it doesn't give you a whole lot of new powers that you have to juggle with everything else that you're modding. It's just a basic passive you'll add to your character to give you an extra edge. Obviously, the archer is going to be better at marksman. Your barbarian, of course, is going to deal 10% more damage with all melee weapons. Diplomacy is for the unarmed. Oh, I love that. That tickles me. Oh, that's fun. What was the quote with the archer? Anyone can split an arrow, but have you tried splitting the target? Oh, okay, this is going to be fun. I love it when the modder puts in like some wit. You know, there's some creativity. There's these passives that also add to the character. It's not just skill selection. And then they throw in some wit. That's just like the cherry on top for me. So we have the Crusader here. Obviously, you're looking at block, heavy armor, one-handed. Two-handed as well, I guess, if you're in a crunch. Destruction, restoration. Your ability is called Smite. You deal 15% more damage with blunt weapons. Knock, knock. And that is followed by the quote, I am the shepherd, and this is my instrument. Ooh. Maces and warhammers, what more do you need? And restoration for the bad guy be gone. We also have the knight, which is similar to the paladin, or the crusader, in that you have block, heavy armor, one-handed, two-handed. But this one focuses on illusion and speech. The ability is called sturdy. Your heavy armor is 20% stronger. Oh, jeez. That freaking tank. And you have a bonus spell called Courage. So this one is actually focused on enhancing your allies and then using illusion magic, I imagine, to kind of stir up your enemies and keep them off balance. And the word is just charge. Especially if you mod in a warhorse. That would be the kicker on top. And the rogue apparently is a combat class. I did not expect that. You've got your block, your one-handed, illusion, alchemy, light armor, speech. Pretty basic for your, not basic, but that's what you would expect for a stealth assassin type build. Your ability is duelist. You deal 20% more damage with one-hand weapons while you have an empty hand. So that's interesting. That actually rules out like keeping illusion spells in your off hand for emergencies. You have to have your on hand free in order for the other one to get the bonus damage. I prefer to keep a hand free for making... Doesn't say. Okay, that must be a little... Whoop, little bug. Little bug. Then we have the Scout. Block, one-handed, smithing, alchemy, light armor, sneak. Oh, the ability is nimble, move 10% faster. That is a hard one to... That gives you... I was surprised, actually, how much of an advantage that one gives you. I was doing Growl and Sacrosanct, but I was using True Hybrid, so I could be both monsters simultaneously, and both of them have perks that give you 10% bonus to movement speed. And I was surprised at how much easier combat got at just a 10% bonus to movement speed. 12% was it? 20% was insane. Nothing could catch me. It was fantastic. But even that 10% boost, I'm tempted to say that's the most powerful buff we've seen thus far. Not just because it makes travel easier, but, I mean, they can't kill you if they can't catch you. 3 days, I'll be there in 1. Nice. And last but not least, the Warrior. We've got your archery block, heavy armor, one-hand, smithing, two-handed. Yeah. Oh, ability's tough. Health is increased by 50 points. That's no joke. Man, that's a 50% increase from the starting health points. That's nice. Plus heavy armor. It's so funny when you get these characters that are heavily built toward resisting or surviving melee damage or physical damage. I feel like whenever I do a build like that, I get overly cocky, and then a mage will come along with a shock spell, and that's that. Alright, I've survived far too many battles to die in this one. That's cool. Alright, let's look at the stealth classes next. The Acrobat. I always kind of chuckled whenever I saw Acrobat. So I was like, yes, that's imposing. Not Assassin or Crusader or Death Knight. Acrobat, who is apparently skilled at archery, one-handed, lockpicking, pickpocket, sneak, and speech. So the acrobatic is more like a thief. Oh, okay. That's what I was just thinking. Like, these sound more like a thief than a performer. And like, yes, these thieves avoid detection by all this. Yes. Okay. So it's a thief that gets 75% less damage from falling. Oh, that. I think like 3/4 of the times I die in Skyrim is just by misjudging falling height. So that might actually extend the life of my playthrough by quite a bit if I were to pick that one. Oh, what was the phrase there? It's all in the landing, isn't it, though? Then we have Agent, archery, illusion, lockpicking, pickpocket, sneak, and speech. Their ability is called Smooth. Persuasion is 20% easier. If you don't ask, you don't get. That is a fair point. That's interesting. Yeah, that's... Okay, so one interesting thing you do... I know speech isn't particularly... I mean, there's only so much you can do in an epic fantasy combat simulator with speech, right? But I have seen some interesting mods that tie speech into your shouts. Ordinator has some perks in the speech tree that enhance your shouts, and if you combine that with Thunderchild, you can really make a speech-based combat character, which is kind of an interesting idea. And of course, you can't go far without the Assassin. Archery, one-handed, alchemy, light armor, pickpocket, sneak. The ability is called Snake, and poisons you make are 25% stronger. Ooh, that is pretty. Some say poison is the coward's weapon. I prefer professional. Oh, ain't that the truth? Especially if you can put that on an arrow from 300 yards away, and you're already out of town by the time somebody dies. There you go. We also have, let's see, so next is Bard. I was curious about this one. So one-handed, enchanting, illusion, alchemy, light armor, and sneak. All right. The ability is called Charm. All illusion spells are 10% stronger. Okay, not bad. That's pretty decent. The Bard, there are some interesting perks in Ordinator's speech tree that are specifically Bard-based. I'm working on an Ordinator showcase right now, which has taken a lot longer than I expected because there's just so much to go over. But one of the interesting things you can get from Ordinator is a series of perks that give your Bard the ability to basically use music to disorient, knock over, or even kill enemies in the area, which is really cool for any Bard type playthrough. And obviously, if you've got a couple followers in the mix that are immune to it, you are good to go. And a quote for the Bard is, "And for those few who can't convince with words," the few you can't convince with words, I guess that's what the one-handed over there is for. Let's see. We also have the Monk. Very nice. Archery, alteration magic. That's interesting. Alchemy, lockpicking, pickpocket, and sneak. That's kind of interesting that the monk is automatically assumed to be thief-like. I guess it depends on your martial arts discipline. But, oh, here you go. Martial artist to deal 20 extra damage while unarmed. Very nice. So if you combine that with, I hope I'm getting this right, I think it's the Khajiit. They get an extra like 10 melee damage because they got the frickin' claws. So stack these two, and your unarmed is going to be very, very pretty. Also with Ordinator, there's an entire perk tree based on boosting unarmed damage. So you can totally be like water, as the phrase goes. That is a Bruce Lee quote, by the way. He is, yeah. Just a few seconds studying his life, and my jaw just hits the floor, what he was able to accomplish. Alrighty, next is the Pilgrim. This one is particularly better once you get a religion mod, because then you can actually be a pilgrim that's going to all the pilgrimages and actually getting something for it, instead of just like the dinky little blessing that you get from a shrine in vanilla Skyrim. But our pilgrims are exceptional with block, one-handed, smithing, restoration, light armor, and speech, which all in all I think that makes a lot of sense for a perpetual traveling pilgrim. Interesting enough, they get the ability Mercantile. Buying and selling prices are 15% better. That's interesting. The Pilgrim is half merchant. But I guess that makes sense. If you have no home and you're constantly traveling, then your only way of income is going to be to make as much money as you can off of what little you have. Get it before it's gone, folks. Ain't that the truth? And then last we have the Thief. Archery, light armor, lockpicking, pickpocketing, sneak, and speech. Their ability is called Marathon. Stamina increased by 50 points. Oh, geez, yeah, that's nice. You can't touch this. Boom. Actually, that's interesting for an unarmed combat build, because the unarmed combat damage in Ordinator's light armor perk tree is based on the amount of stamina you have. So you could actually, this is technically a damage boost if you go that route. You also have the quote, "Who knew running from the guards was such a good workout?" Oh, that's awesome. Alright, I saved my favorite for last because I love magic. Battle Mage all the way. Let's see what we've got here. One-handed, alteration, conjuration, destruction, enchanting, alchemy. The ability is called Ruin. All destruction spells are 10% stronger. And the quote is, "Leave nothing standing." Yeah, this is my whole, this. I don't know how many times I have slain my followers, or at least set them on fire, because I dive in with things that go boom and everything catches fire. That's kind of my motto there. One of these days I'll do a full playthrough where I'm determined to help my followers live and focus less on killing everything and more on keeping them alive. Maybe we'll see. Oh, on that note, there you go. They got a whole healer build for you. Major skills are alchemy, alteration, destruction, illusion, restoration, and speech. Their ability is called Remedy. All restoration spells are 10% stronger. They also start with the bonus spell Healing Hands, which I find interesting because that is automatically targeting healing other people, not you. So it's kind of assuming you're going to have a follower with you, which makes sense because you're a healer. I mean, why would a healer only heal themselves? Their quote is, "Do no harm." Okay, maybe a little harm, maybe a bit of harm, just a little harm, just enough harm to not be harmed yourself. Actually, with the false light perk in the restoration tree for Ordinator, you can do damage to an opponent using restoration spells that target other people. So that Healing Hands spell that you're starting with actually becomes your starting offensive weapon. I think it only does 70% of the healing as damage. So if you were to Healing Hands doing 10 damage per second, or 10 healing per second, it would be 7 damage per second, which is still a nice margin. It's particularly helpful if you have a follower in the middle of the fray and you're just channeling Healing Hands, because when you're hitting your follower, you're healing them, and if you accidentally hit a bandit or an enemy, then they take damage. So it's kind of, it works out really good. We also have the Mage, the consummate scholar, enchanting, alteration, conjuration, destruction, illusion, restoration, basically all the magics. The ability is called Boundless. Magicka is increased by 50 points. Oh, I would love that. Particularly if you're doing something like spell research that changes the way in which you learn spells. Your starting Magicka allows you to, well, the larger your starting Magicka pool, the more study you can get done before you have to rest. So this is actually not only makes you a better mage, but if you're doing a more hardcore playthrough where you have to learn the spells manually, it would allow you to learn them manually faster, which might kind of defeat the purpose of doing a mod that slows down magic learning to make it more immersive, but, you know, to each their own. The quote we have is, "Knowledge is its own reward. The ability to reheat your tea with your mind is just a bonus." I like that. That's actually fun. Like in the campfire mod, where it allows you to do like a bunch of camping stuff in Skyrim, you actually have the option when you're lighting a fire to either use flint and steel or to use magic if your destruction skill is high enough, which I think is just great. Then we have the Nightblade. This is what I would do if I was ever going to do an illusion melee sneak build. One-handed light armor, illusion, destruction, alteration, and sneak. The ability is called Stalker. You are 10% harder to detect while sneaking. Yes, please. I mean, I'd be tempted to just throw in a bow. It's funny though, like when I've read some reviews, and if you just run around sniping everything with a bow from 300 feet away at maximum detection, it's really fun to play that kind of build, but it's kind of boring for the other people to watch. So that's an interesting balance that I've come across, is what kind of play style is the most enjoyable for the viewer versus me, and then finding a happy medium between the two. Let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite play style to watch as opposed to your favorite play style to play? The quote here is, "Did you hear something?" Then we have the Sorcerer. Again, all of the magics, but they also throw in heavy armor. Kind of. I play too much Dungeons and Dragons. Like the Sorcerer generally doesn't have heavy armor, but I usually do. I have done a playthrough where it was heavy armor, block, and destruction, and it was pretty amazing because you just stomped over everything and lit everything on fire. Again, that was a playthrough with no follower. Go figure. The ability is called Potent. Magicka recovers 50% faster, and your bonus spell is called Bound Sword. Ooh, I like that. That is my favorite starting spell from my Morrowind days. I didn't start with it, but that was the first one I bought because, I mean, in Morrowind, your ghosts and stuff were immune to regular weapons, and they could kill you if you weren't careful. So having a magical sword from the get-go was a necessity. And our quote is, "Exhaustion is for the weak-willed," particularly if you are trained in restoration magic. And we have Spell Sword, that'll be another fun one. Enchanting, one-handed, alteration, destruction, restoration, and heavy armor. Spell swords are really interesting. It depends. That one really depends on what combat mods you're running. Like if you're running Wildcat, you're going to take extra damage whenever you are in the process of casting or in the process of attacking, unless you're able to block at the right moment. So with spell swords, it's kind of tricky because if you have a spell in one hand and sword in the other, you can't block when they're coming in to attack you, and if you're casting during that time, you take extra damage. So it takes a bit more skill if you're doing this kind of a build with Wildcat, just to warn you. We've got Enchanting, One-Handed, Alteration, Destruction, Restoration, Heavy Armor. Our ability is called Balance, a 10% bonus to spells and one-handed weapons when using both. So this one rewards you for keeping a spell in one hand and a one-handed weapon in the other. And our quote for the day is, "It's all about give and take." Well, mostly give. Giving punishment, taking gold. Last but not least, we have Witch Hunter, Archery, Destruction, Enchanting, Conjuration, Alchemy, Lockpicking. Our Witch Hunter apparently doesn't wear armor. Interesting. The ability is called Purifier. Deal 25% more damage to undead, including vampires. Ooh, yeah. Lock this one in for your vampire playthrough, or anti-vampire playthrough. Or both. I mean, technically this would work if you were a vampire wiping out other vampires, because, I mean, you know, why would you want competition for all the humans you're about to feed on? Our quote is, "I shall make them fear the light just as much as we fear the dark." I'm not sure if that even makes any sense. I wasn't aware vampires feared the light. Well, feared the dark. According to this, vampires fear the dark. So, alright, whatever. Alright, last but not least, we have the option here of doing a custom class. So right there, you can just start at the get-go what you want to specialize in. Let's go and make a battle mage. That would be fun. Well, my version of a battle mage. We're going to pick the magic specialization. Choose 6 major skills. Each of these skills will get a plus 20 bonus. So we're going to go for heavy armor, block, and in the magic department, we're going to grab some destruction and some healing. And I mean, you alteration. There's just so much that you can do with that. Why not? And we'll throw in some speech. There we go. So now this is the last bit of the puzzle. Second to last bit of the puzzle. Now remember, each class got its own passive ability. So this is your option to go through these passive abilities that we've just described for all the different classes that we just talked about, and you can pick one. And that will be a passive that will apply to you for your entire playthrough. So given that we're trying to build a battle mage, let's go with a 20% armor rating to keep my mage extra safe. And warning, confirming we'll build your character and start the game. Now, birth sign. This is the last fun little thing. Obviously, this is optional. Birth sign, no birth sign. But keep in mind, while this does say that it's standing stones, like the signs and those kind of coincide with the standing stones, because you've got the mage, the apprentice, the astronaut. These are actually passive buffs that will be stacked on top of the bonuses you get from your standing stone, okay? So if you're running the mage, born under the side of the mage, you will have that permanent gain in 30 magicka on top of the bonus that you will get if you go out into Skyrim right now and find the mage stone and get that bonus as well. So keep that in mind if you're running this mod, along with, say, Andromeda or Everstar, no, it's Evenstar. There we go. I haven't played that one in a while. But both of those are standing stone mods that give them different abilities or passives. Keep in mind that whatever birth sign you choose here will stack on top of whatever standing stone you pick out in the real world. They don't replace each other. This is stacking. So this character will be starting with an extra, would be starting with an extra 80 magicka if I had chosen the other passive that did that, but I did not. All right, but there we go. So that is the gist, Classic Classes and Birth Signs mod. It is a fun little way to either quickly select a class that you want to play in or create a fun customization that gives you some special passive bonuses, depending on what kind of a playthrough style you had in mind. I hope you guys have had a wonderful day so far. Feel free to like the video, subscribe to my channel. And again, let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite playstyle that you prefer to watch being played versus your favorite playstyle that you love to play when you are alone at home? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Take care.